Okay, here we go. We had a part two. Finish the conversation, and then Julie mentioned something about what she thought was coming across as confidence and her perspective on that. So good, we had to have a part two. So here's a brief addendum to the confidence conversation that I had with Julie Yakunich. All right, we'll call this portion the addendum because I did not want to leave off what you said about why people thought that you were confident. Please take it away.
Yeah, what I said this just now and was just a note in looking at my notes after we finished was that, in sort of thinking about this a lot more in preparation for this conversation, trying to understand why people thought I was really confident when I wasn't, in addition to being looking good on paper, having degrees, having certifications, whatever, was that I was very strongly opinionated. And I think that whenever you have, well, I don't know if whenever for everyone, but in my case, having strong opinions and very strong convictions looks like confidence. And I guess in some folks, it could be truly confident because they're coming with their opinions from a place of a true sense of self. But in my case, they weren't. It was that I would make a decision about something, and that was the way it was. It was an opinion and a conviction, and this is just how I'm moving forth. This is it. This is the only way. And what I've realized in becoming confident, truly confident, having a true sense of self and a true love of self, is that the more confident I've become, the less opinionated I have gotten or become. So it's really, I think, being open-minded, truly open-minded, and really compassionate and curious. I mean, these are words that my therapist and I use a lot, and I think are very helpful because words really do make a difference. And so I can have a way of thinking about something, but now because I am confident, you could totally change my mind.
You're open to it.
I'm open to it because somebody telling me I'm wrong no longer completely shifts my sense of self.
Yeah.
It
They're
doesn't
entitled
mean,
to their opinion.
right. And, or, I mean, maybe I am wrong. Maybe I don't have enough information, or maybe I haven't seen something from another perspective. And so now somebody can, or my opinion in general, not even with somebody coming at me and telling me that how I feel about something is wrong, just in learning, right? Yeah. And learning more and gaining more information and being open-minded because I'm confident to change, I can do it, where before I really couldn't.
I thought that was so interesting. I'm glad we're adding this on, that you feel like you're less opinionated. I'm inclined to think it's not so much that you're less opinionated. You still hold your opinions and strong convictions, but you also are so certain of yourself that you are open. And like you said, curious. You are willing to hear, listen, and adapt if needed. Where before, part of your confidence was that guarded position, and you felt it necessary to take that stand. But now you're fine if your position changes because you're still you and you're still okay.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that I had associated being wrong with being bad. Now I associate being wrong and imperfect and failing with learning.
Yes. I'm sure I'm going to have to pause and really process what you just said, associating being wrong with being bad as opposed to an opportunity to learn, because I'm sure that people face that a lot, and they themselves might be in leadership positions and not be self-aware enough to realize where that's what it is. There's a need for that flexibility to learn and grow and not necessarily dig in and stay on one position.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like if you have, let's say, a disagreement with somebody, and then later they come back and apologize and say, I was wrong. Do you think that they're bad? No. I mean, for me, I think the opposite. I think they're impressive. I think that they are mature and grounded. And I appreciate that. That to me is a good quality, right? But I think that what I internalize for myself is a very different experience than how I look at and view other people.
Hmm.
And so I think that's a big thing for me that I've been doing a lot lately is whenever those still existent negative thoughts for me, if they show up, if I start to second guess myself and stuff, I think of what would I, in this situation, how would I, what would the language I would be using if I were speaking to some, like you, let's say you, for example.
Hmm.
If I pretended that this thing that I did that I didn't like, if you did it, what would be the language I'd be using to you as my friend versus the language I'm using internally with myself? And trying to use the same kindness with myself that I use with other folks.
That's a good way to put it. It almost goes back to what we often refer to as the golden rule.
Right.
However, I don't think that that kindness, that thoughtfulness, learning being a changing position being seen as learning, I don't think that that's validated in our culture. And so
No.
people learn to dig in their heels even when they know that they're wrong. They're so afraid to change their position because it's often cast in a light of weakness or
Right.
any other negative adjective that you can think of, lack of
Right.
decisiveness, as
Right.
opposed to recognizing what it is, learning and being honest so that you can improve and then move on. Perhaps that's the grace that's missing so much and so often in society, that people feel the need to put on this show and will, dig stick to it, because that sticking to it is often misinterpreted as confidence, where in reality it's dishonest, and it's
Right.
not a learning mindset, and it cannot
Right.
make everyone better. Someone's going to pay for it at some point in the
Right.
process.
Right. Yeah.
That's a good one. How it comes across: strong opinions and strong convictions, and those often are the people who are perceived as being confident, and that may not
Right.
necessarily be the case. That's
May
you
not.
give me something to think about on that one. Thank you. So this is going to be part two. That's what's going to happen, because I don't want anyone to miss out on this one at the tail end of the conversation. So this is going to be Idara and Julie conversation part two. Thank you. And if you think of anything else, we're coming right back and doing an
Yeah.
addendum. Thank you, Julie.
Thanks, Idara.